Hey, what is going on, guys? RVZ Stealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best champions to play in this patch if mastered. Now, these are the champions that are most played in Challenger right now, so if Challenger players are picking these champions and they're high up in priority for them, then that basically does mean that these are the best champions that you can play, and they will give you the best chance to win if you can play them correctly. So that being said, let's get started. So starting off in the top lane here, the four most picked top laners in this patch are Renekton, Camille, Rumble, and Jayce. So Renekton, he's actually the most picked top laner in 7.5 right now, and there's a few reasons for it. So right now, Renekton actually does pretty well against a lot of the meta top lane picks, and he's also been indirectly buffed a lot in the recent patches. So with like the Blade of the Ruined King changes in this patch, it makes Renekton better. Most Renekton mains are building that on him now. With the Fervor buffs a few patches ago, that makes him stronger, and also Black Cleaver got changed, I think it was in 7.4, which also made him quite a bit better. So basically, Renekton's just better because of indirect buffs that he's been receiving over these past few patches. Now for Camille, her kit is still really strong. Her numbers did get tweaked a little bit, like on her abilities and stuff, but Challenger players are still playing Camille. She is definitely a top laner that can have a lot of influence in a game, especially if you can get a snowball going early. Now as for Rumble, the reason why he is seeing more play recently is because we are seeing pretty heavy AD compositions being built. We're seeing a lot of AD junglers, obviously AD carries, and then in the mid lane there's a lot of like Talon being played, a lot of Zed being played as well. So it's always nice to have like an AP top laner and an AP top laner to go with if you do have an AD comp, and Rumble right now is probably the best AP top lane champion that you can play in this patch. And then lastly for Jayce, there's not too much to say for Jayce here. He's been strong like these past few patches. He's been strong for like over the past few months actually. He was strong like during Worlds, so this champion's just been way too strong for like 5, 6, 7 months now, so he's still a great pick in the top lane for sure. Now moving into the jungle here, the four most picked junglers right now are Elise, Lee Sin, Kha'Zix, and Graves. So with these jungle picks here, I don't really know if there's too much to say about them because they're all picks that have been pretty meta for these past few patches now. They're not new picks or anything. I guess that Rengar, he has fallen down a little bit in popularity now. We could talk about that a little bit. So with the Rengar nerfs, he isn't as strong now. So junglers are prioritizing like the Graves right now quite a bit. Graves is pretty much picked or banned in Challenger. He is like the best jungler right now if you can play him well. And then as for like Elise and Lee Sin, they're always picked just because they can have a great influence in the early game. And then for Kha'Zix, he did get nerfed a little bit, but he is still better, I think, right now than Rengar is. In pro play, players still do prefer Rengar a little bit over Kha'Zix, but I think that's because they were still on 7.4 in pro play. I think in 7.5, Rengar got another nerf to his like base armor, so that is definitely going to move him down in power quite a bit now. So I think that Kha'Zix in like 7.5 right now is still a little bit better than Rengar. Now the mid lane is pretty interesting this patch. There are some new picks showing up here. So we do have the standard Orianna and Syndra. They're the two most picked mid laners in this patch. Very strong picks if they can be played correctly. And then Ahri and Talon are actually the third and fourth most picked mid lane picks right now. So Ahri, she kind of just saw a random rise in popularity. She never really got buffed or anything. I think that the reason why she rose in popularity is because people kind of figured out that Ahri's actually a really good pick against a lot of these meta mid lane picks like Orianna and Cassiopeia. Any champion that does rely on hitting skill shots, Ahri can do great against just due to her ultimate. She's also a pretty safe laning pick too. She's a great pick for solo queue just because she can have a really good influence on the game with her roams, and she's just a very safe pick due to her ultimate. And then for Talon, Talon is great in the mid lane because he's one of the best roaming mid lane champions. He's also still great with lethality, and it's just so hard to deal with a Talon if he gets a snowball going early game. I've seen so many like high elo players just play Talon, and the way they play it and the way they roam on it just makes it seem like such an overpowered champion. And he is, I guess, pretty strong right now. I wouldn't say he's like overpowered though, but Talon in the mid lane right now is definitely a great pick if you are looking for like an AD assassin. Now if we move down to the bot lane here, the most picked AD carries right now are Ezreal at number 1, Lucian, Jhin, and then Caitlyn. So Ezreal, he has seen a great rise in popularity over this patch, I guess. He's only really started to see a lot of play in this patch, because if you think about like what got nerfed in this patch, Jhin got nerfed, MF got nerfed, Varus got nerfed. Varus is pretty much not even played at all anymore now in Challenger, or like right when the patch hit. I don't think I've seen a single Varus, so they definitely did a pretty good job at taking him out of the meta now. But because those other AD carries are nerfed, Fervor got buffed recently, so it just indirectly does make Ezreal stronger. He is still a little bit of a harder to play AD carry though, and if you're not super confident on him, I wouldn't say that he's like a must-pick AD carry in this patch, but if you can play a good Ezreal, he is one of the better AD carries in this patch. And then as for Lucian, I don't really think his play rate really represents how strong he actually is in this patch. The main reason to why I think he's played a lot in this patch, or why he was played a lot in this patch, is because he did get some nice changes to like the smoothness of using his abilities. So the high elo players, or like the Lucian players, are obviously going to want to try that out and see how it feels. He only does have like a 43 or 44% win rate in challengers, so statistically he still isn't doing that great. For Jhin and for Caitlyn, Jhin is still strong because his kit is very strong, unless they do nerf the damage like on his Q or on his ultimate. Even though they did nerf Deathfire Touch a little bit, that still doesn't really bring him down in power a lot, and I still do think that he is a great AD carry in this patch. And then for Caitlyn, she is coming back up now. She is rising in popularity again, basically for the same reason that Ezreal is rising in popularity. The lethality champions, they did get nerfed, so with Varus moving down, with Miss Fortune moving down, it's going to move Caitlyn back up. And to round out this video here, in the support role, there are some new picks again here in this patch, and it's Thresh, Karma, Lulu, and Blitzcrank. So Thresh and Karma are pretty standard for high elo. They're great picks. They do have the potential to have great influence on a game from the support role. Now for Lulu, she did receive quite a few buffs over the past few months, and it wasn't until like a few patches ago to where people started to pick her back up again, and they realized that with these buffs, Lulu is actually a pretty good support now. So with Lulu, she's just a great protect the AD carry support champion. If you do have an AD carry like a Twitch or a Kog'Maw, or just an AD carry without a gap closer, she's a great pick in that situation. You could throw your W on your AD carry in a team fight. You can ult them if they get dove on. She's also a great pick against Rengar, and as well as against Kha'Zix actually, because both of those jungle champions, they want to jump in on your back line, and when they do that, you just throw your ultimate on whoever they're jumping on. You can also use your Whimsy on the Kha'Zix or the Rengar and just burst them down before they even get out of that Whimsy. Now Blitzcrank, he did move up into the number 4 spot this patch, and Malzahar and Zyra, they did move down because they did get nerfs I think a few patches ago, and people just aren't really prioritizing them as much as they were before. With Blitzcrank though, he's one of the best playmaking supports. He can just have such a great influence on a game, like with his roams, with his ability to get that one hook in the laning phase, or just that one hook at any point in the game that could end up winning your team the game. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. These champions are probably the best champions that you can pick in this patch if you can play them to their fullest potential and if you have had a lot of practice on them. But with that being said, guys, thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.